Hello, I am Kerem Duran from Özce Campus 10 Fen. I am here for defense.
Hello, I am Selin Duru from 11 Fen and from Özce Campus, and I'm here for the offense.
Today we are here to argue about whether AI is a friend or threat to education.
So, fun fact, I think that it might be a big threat if you really consider it, because, in surface level, it seems like as if it would be great, if you can't complete your essay, all of a sudden, you can just complete it with the help of AI, but, think about what it could mean in the sense that, it will make us worse at some things in a sense, because what happens when we are forced to actually think up a speech or an essay for ourselves? What happens when we're in an exam? What are we gonna do when that happens? Or what happens when we actually do need to use those basic math skills and not ask those to AI? What's gonna happen then?
What your suggestion doesn't consider the fact that most AI threat detections things exist, and this should be optimized by teachers so that people can't just use AI on their essays and such. AI, however, can be useful when you're researching, because you can just give up a prompt and then AI can list their sources for you, which can allow for a way easier time when writing your essay by yourself. So you should be using AI as an assistant, and this can always be fact-checked by your teachers, because there are a lot of tools and I've used them personally. I've also done my research and they work. They can detect who did what, and if you are actually gonna cheat, they just say something about you and you will be punished for it if people take the correct precautions. AI in defense can be very good for the education because it can help out teachers too. Both teachers and students, we all have something to gain from this. Teachers can sometimes just use AI to list up sources or materials they need to cover, and then they can just write the slides on it themselves. If AI is used as an assistant, and we can make sure that it will be very beneficial to our education system.
Well, have you ever considered the fact that said sources might not even be correct or even about the topic? Or the fact that, let's say you thought of a prompt and actually asked, on a topic, what happens if those sources aren't exactly correct? And there will be times where a teacher will read your essay and go, it might not be able to tell whether it's AI or not. Because, for example, AI-generated drawings are easy to tell whether it's AI or not, but for essays it's a bit harder. It's gonna be hard whether to find out if a research paper is actually written by a person or the AI itself.
As I mentioned, AI does have AI detection tools that you can just use to find essays that have been compromised by AI. And for your source question, you can always just check the sources AI list themselves. I've used it before, it lists sources, and you can just go into those websites, check it's true, or AI actually searched up for the prompt you wanted for. And if you did the research by yourself, you will still be compromised to the same mistakes, just harder.
Well, see, here is the thing. In my opinion, the margin for error will be less, because at least you will be able to fact check it yourself by then. Because in a sense, there will be times where, sure, it might have listed some websites, and sure, maybe it might have gotten the prompts right. But what happens when the information is, wrong?
The information can always be wrong, so we can't really do anything about that. AI takes from the websites, which you will normally check by yourself. So, end of the day, whether you use AI or not, there will always be corruption in the internet's information. There is nothing that AI changes about this. It's just normal internet.
Okay, well, have you ever considered the fact that, let's just say that you asked a random AI to write up an essay, right? And let's just say you did let's just say you made them write an essay on a topic, and then you wrote an essay by yourself, actually doing research, and on top of that, fact-checking every website and everything. There's a high chance that one of them is going to sound more accurate and actually written by a person than it is going to be by AI. Because in the end, something that matters in education is whether you actually put in effort or not.
I mentioned to you twice that AI detectors can be used, and if those are used correctly by teachers, if they are taught how to, and in a good world they should, they can use those to fish out who uses AI on the essays and people who use AI for their research, which is completely acceptable to do. If you use AI on your essay, you're probably going to be caught, and then it just won't matter. The teachers will know you cheated anyway.
You see, see, the part about writing essays and actually doing research is doing the thing itself. Like, sure, one shouldn't waste too much time and effort in doing something, but like, it shouldn't be instant. The thing about essays and research is that you're kind of putting in the effort.
So you just suggest people using unneeded time when they could just use an easier thing to list their research, and then they can just fact check that, just to, make people's jobs harder.
Not necessarily harder, but in, like, sure, maybe for jobs, but if we're talking about school where effort will matter to some extent, you will actually need to do things by yourself, like...
So you are doing things by yourself. You will be writing the essay by yourself. What I am saying is you can use the AI for research so that it can list out proper information for you, filtering of false information for you, and that can be useful because you might not be able to weed out some stuff by yourself.
Well, see, here's the thing. Doing the research is the hard part. Like, sure, writing is a thing and all, but so is doing the actual research. Like, then are the people who just doing actual research and, actually fact-checking themselves just wasting their time?
You can still fact-check by yourself. You can use the links that AI gave you, and you can check if the information is correct, and I encourage you to do that. However, AI will have an easier time weeding out untrustable sources and giving you a list of sources that you will need more time to find normally. All AI does here is still teach you the material, just makes it easier. And if you don't want education to be easier, I don't know what to tell you.
It's not about being easy. Sure, it's being easy is a thing, but like, so is, actually putting in the work, because a difference will be made in the end. Like, some people will in general, care more about a person that made their research by themselves, full on fact-checking every website and like book in hand, versus a person who used AI for some important research paper.
You are still not considering the fact that I can say you can fact check those sources by yourself, and I encourage you to do so. AI will just list you the sources and filter out obviously wrong sources by itself, so you don't have to. Like, all you are arguing here right now is that the job should be harder than it has to be, just for the sake of giving in effort.
For me, it's not about necessarily fact-checking, but it's also about finding the resource, dare I say.
Why?
Like, having found a good resource, having checked every single resource and then compiled the correct ones, and actually having written something all by yourself is the more impressive thing and will matter in the end.
But like, why should you have to do this much when you don't need to? It's like education prepares you for adulthood, which you do normal jobs at. And in normal jobs, you will be expected to deliver efficiently, not putting in more effort. And AI is more efficient.
Okay, but like, let's just assume that you did in fact, use actual like, let's just assume that you did actually, like, use AI and whatnot. Like, let's just assume you also fact-checked everything. Like, what happens if something slips through? Like, let's just assume that your manager, like, found out that you are not really doing the research yourself and we're just, asking AI to do all the work. Then what do you expect to happen?
The manager will actually have a chance to congratulate pretty nicely. The current companies allow and encourage the use of AI, and in this matter, if you are fact-checking it by yourself, the manager will probably find no problems because you're just doing your work as you're told to in a more efficient way, and using that to save time for the company and finding more reliable resources than just going through Google by yourself.
So, quantity over quality, huh?
What?
In work. So you're choosing quantity of, like, let's just say research papers released, then the quality of the research papers released.
No, you can't have quantity and quality at the same time is what I am saying.
Yes, and I think that quality is what matters in the end.
But and if you can have both, why not?
Why not what?
Why not have both at the same time?
Well, that's the thing. They can't coexist. If you do something with quality, you're going to spend just a bit more time. But if you do something with...
Not necessarily.
Well, let's just say...
So think about it like this. You can hand create a computer by yourself and spend more time just for between nanometers, when in reality you can just use a FOB like in Taiwan just to have a 3 nanometer in a few minutes.
But well, you said military training, right?
I was talking about creating computers like the GPUs. You can, I don't know, hand create it at a verse factory, doing some work by yourself and using more time for a less efficient verse product that's like 10 nanometers. For computers, the smaller the nanometer is, it tends to be a better thing. Or you can use a upgraded good FOB and get a both smaller, faster results and it's smaller nanometer, 3 nanometers, so that it will be both more quality and quantity at the same time.
Well, see, here is the thing. Considering quality means less products will come out, but there's a high chance that said products will last. But let's just say that you chose like quantity, right? It means that there's a high chance, like sure, there's a small chance that it won't happen, but there's a high chance that some of those, like a majority, or like let's just say half of those products might be faulty to some extent.
One thing you're not considering is AI is just a newer and more progressive option right now. And throughout history, we can see that as things get like more new, there's more progressive things coming out. The traditional stuff tends to be both less quality and less quantity.
Well, not every progressive thing is a good thing.
This one is.
How can we be so sure? Have we ever actually seen actually good like researches or like research papers come out of AI yet? Is that actually a thing?
Yes, we have. Like, as I said, you just have to use the sources, which AI will think about it like this. AI gives you around the same sources that you will get out from Google by yourself, but AI already does the filtering of bad sources and misinformation for you. So you don't have to do it by yourself. Get your resources faster and then, use it to create a good research as you will.
Actually, there is one antithesis to this there. I say it's about languages. So fun fact, there are certain language companies that are like firing their staff for AI, and now people are concerned because like say language learning apps and like whatnot will now be worse in the sense that how Google Translate, when you enter a word and like translate it to a different language, and when you run it back, it becomes something else entirely. And when AI uses this, it naturally means that there will be some mistranslations and misinformation floating around.
First of all, the Google Translate example you gave isn't related to AI at all, so I don't see how that's relevant.
No.
And the other topic you gave me, like the thing about the language company, that is just out of our scope right now.
It is, because here is the thing. Language is also taught in schools. What happens if language teachers end up using AI as well? Then what's going to happen?
Then if the AI is good enough, if we're able to replace our language teachers with AI, then the AI will be good enough. The AI will do their job more efficiently. That it's kind of technocratic, kind of heartless, but in the end, it can be just way more efficient than a normal language teacher. You can know that.
So, efficiency in education. So, fun fact, how do I say this? Like, let's just say that an AI did replace language teachers, that there's naturally going to be less practice, in my opinion, and there's just going to be overall less, let's just say, life put into that. I don't know how to say this other than the fact that in the end, like, actually learning from a language teacher means more experience and less margin for error, in my opinion.
Not necessarily. Besides the fact that AI uses a lot of sources to train itself, we can't really call it shot just yet, because to call that shot, to think if will AI be able to replace our teachers or not, we will need to reach the level of AGI, the artificial general intelligence first. Because then it can do the same things that humans can do, and then we can come to a conclusion whether or not it can do some things like language teaching as good as a normal teacher. However, at this point, in my opinion, AI can be already used by some language teachers, like our great Emroj over there, to optimize some of their workloads and explain some topics, at least some stuff they teach, more efficiently than the books currently can show them.
But, well, you see, the thing is, there's a high chance that the AI won't be able to explain something as good as a teacher ever would, nor will they will be able to give as good examples in real life. Like, compared to a teacher actually giving examples and, like, actually giving good, let's just say, synonyms for stuff, AI might not be able to do that.
I don't see why it can't. I personally use AI for a lot of things myself, and it does a lot of stuff as good as a normal teacher will do for me.
But what result has that's yielded you? Like, have you ever actually gotten any better at anything? Like, let's just say, have you used AI for, like, let's just say, writing essays?
Yes, I have actually. I am a member of the MBA club and I use AI on a lot of my research because otherwise we need to come up with speeches at very little time, and using AI allows me to come up with some sources faster so that I can just check them, tick tick tick, and then done. I can just start writing my own speech on it. And no, this is not the malicious use of it where I just copy it and then paste on my speech. I'm talking about checking sources faster and I'm writing by myself. So overall, a lot of MBA students here will agree with me that by using AI, the things they do are way more efficient than normal.
But in the end, okay, like, I know that because, fun fact, I have also been a member of the club. But see, here's the thing. Like, when it's time to actually come up with a resolution, then it will be, let's just say, a bit harder to actually come up with ideas. Because if you used AI to actually gather all those resources and ideas, then what happens when you have to gather the idea yourself?
I mean, personally, I've also done that by myself. I just use AI for the research to fact check my stuff and then write my own words on how I will do stuff. It is not impossible. It has been done before by me.
Well, like, do actual world leaders do this stuff? Like, do they actually use AI to, like, go figure what they're going to do in terms of diplomacy? Have you ever thought of that? Like, have you ever thought of the fact that world leaders will have to actually probably do this without AI because, like, they have to actually do what's right for their country? Same goes for others, because in the end, it will matter that you actually do stuff for yourself rather than AI, because it will just come off as a way to, like, say, I don't have enough time for this, I have other important stuff, but in a more arrogant way, let's just say.
Not necessarily. A simple research of it shows that a lot of world leaders are already considering AI assistants or AI ministers, which I'm pretty sure one of the countries are already planning on getting one since something happened to their last minister. And overall, AI can still be used for the research part. I don't know. We don't have info if any of them use it, so we can see that some of the world leaders actually do spend time on AI, not necessarily on diplomatic research, but other stuff, and it can indeed be useful.
But the thing with the AI ministers and the same thing with the AI teachers we mentioned beforehand is that they have one issue that I have to mention. An AI cannot connect with a person nearly as well, because, fun fact, ministers and overall politicians have to actually connect with their community. They actually have to make an effort to understand their community's problems and actually see them for themselves. And an AI cannot do that because it's a robot, an emotionless robot.
Not necessarily. You can definitely give emotion to AI even if it's fake. And besides that, AI can always do a lot of field research, which can actually be seeing individual people by themselves, which politicians in our days already fail to do so. Really obviously. So at that point, an AI is just a politician with a bit better data set.
But, like, the thing with fake emotion is that an AI won't be able to understand a struggle nearly as well. And you see, with the whole politicians fail to do that anyway, then shouldn't we actually put in effort to raise better politicians and speakers?
Yeah, but the world sadly doesn't work that way. Like, even actually, this is actually going to be a really interesting topic, because I've used AI to create a framework on both a better military and a better government, in which the only problem here becomes that you can't actually change the current styles of governments without a hell bunch of protests, probably a lot of violence and wars. So we are currently stuck with democracy, which has rendered itself incapable ever since corruption became a thing. And while we do need to replace it, we just can't. And at this point, just an AI minister might do it better than a lot of people, because AI can actually be coded and forced to have ethics compared to some others.
Well, you see, the thing with politicians recently is that also that some speeches have become actually empty, and it feels as though a majority have been kind of out of touch of sorts, and that this out of touchness it also reflects in their speeches. Like they will actually have to reflect and make a speech themselves, because like let's just say like at one point that they're pulled into an interview without any preparation or anything. They can't just scan AI on the spot.
They don't have to. We're not telling people to use AI for everything. We're telling here to people that AI can be used really good for research. And if you need research on an interview, you probably shouldn't be doing interviews or any position that requires you to do interviews in the first place.
The thing is, actually, you said that, but then like, with the whole thing you mentioned beforehand, with the minister of one country apparently something happening to that minister, and with them probably need to replace with an AI for more safety and whatnot, then shouldn't they first get the situation under control instead of just opting for some quote unquote efficient solution that might actually get quite bad, because AI is currently not that amazing right now.
I mean, I think AI can indeed be the solution that they can use to get things underway. Like, AI can be faulty, but so can politicians. Indeed, some politicians are more faulty than most AI we have today, in my opinion. And not only that, AI currently are generalists that use large language models to try to do everything, despite not being AGI. However, you can just, create a data set and behavior to the AI that allows it to act like a politician, but while also using the access to its code to remove unethical and corrupt ideas from it, which you can't do to normal politicians.
Well, see, here's the thing with like an AI politician. Like, let's just say that people realize eventually that, like, let's just say a country did actually get one of their ministers or one of their politicians to be an AI. Then people will soon realize this, and like at the end, will probably not take them as seriously.
Thing is, the country already makes it clear that they are going to be using AI, and thing is, with every new thing that comes through progression, people defy it. People try to rebel. Like, people didn't like phones, people didn't like laptops, whatever. Like anything technological, they hate it when it first starts, and then they just get used to it, and then they just forget it, and it becomes a part of their daily life. And with AI, this will happen too, and it will go through an experimental phase. It might make errors, etc. But in the long term, when we look at the future, 3 to 4 years from now, it will have a way more efficient way of doing stuff, and it will definitely be a benefit to us.
But well, my final thing on this is that, like, in the end, with the whole rebelling thing, I think the whole rebelling thing would in the end come from the fact that their leader, or like an important person to them, is not actually a person that cares about them, but instead a robot that has been made specifically for this purpose to serve them and like quote unquote actually care for them. Like, what happens when the manufacturer, like, there will be a time and day, and in fact there are a lot of instances in this current era where people will try and use AI for more malicious things. Like, there will be a time where the quote unquote AI minister that you mentioned will be tinkered with.
Yeah, however, thing is, like, everything you mentioned happens to every type of technology and every type of politician in the first place. Like, you mentioned how AI people might not like the AI because it's like it doesn't think about them. At least that's what they think it is. However, the AI can indeed at least think about them. So its emotions will just be as artificial as its intelligence. It can actually replicate it quite well. And while the AI can be tinkered with to be malicious, if the servers are protected, I'd say AI getting tinkered with to be malicious as a politician is less likely than a politician actually getting corrupt by bribery or in other means. However, I think this should end for now. We had a pretty good debate. I think everyone made great points. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you all for listening as well. and we'll see you next time.